It happened on a rainy Tuesday evening in a quiet corner of Moscow. The auditorium was buzzing as hundreds of hopefuls lined up to audition for Russia's most prestigious talent show. Some carried instruments, some wore glittering costumes, and others were accompanied by confident parents or vocal coaches. But amidst them all stood one boy, small, thin, and seemingly out of place. He had no one by his side, no fancy clothes, no warm coat. Just a pair of old, worn boots, a patched-up sweater, and a spark in his eyes that no hardship could dim. His name was Mikhail. Barely 13 years old, Mikhail had lived a life far removed from most of the children his age. He didn't come from a big city or even a small town. He came from nowhere, a fading village long forgotten by maps, where winters were longer than dreams and hope was a luxury people had stopped affording. His parents had died in a fire when he was just 6, and from then on, life had become a journey of survival. He lived in an orphanage that barely kept the snow out. But inside Mikhail was a warmth that no cold could touch, his voice. He didn't have training. He didn't have music sheets or YouTube tutorials. All he had was memory. The memory of his mother singing lullabies by the fireplace, the memory of his father humming folk songs as he chopped wood, the memory of melodies that made pain feel like poetry. Mikhail carried these sounds in his heart like treasures, and every night, when the world went silent, he would sing to the stars outside his broken window. When word of the talent show reached his orphanage, it wasn't from a flyer or advertisement. It came through the broken radio in the kitchen, the one that only worked when you hit it just right. The children had gathered around it one evening when the announcer's voice crackled through, "This year, we open our stage to anyone with a voice, a song, and a dream." The next morning, Mikhail slipped out with a scarf borrowed from the cook and a promise whispered to himself, "If I can just sing once, maybe someone will hear me." The line outside the audition hall stretched around the building. Contestants practiced their routines. Some were nervous, some excited. But when Mikhail reached the check-in desk, the staff looked at him with uncertainty. "Where is your guardian?" one woman asked. "I don't have one," he replied, his voice steady. "Do you have registration papers?" "I just want to sing," he whispered. There was a pause. Then, something in his eyes must have softened her heart. She nodded. "Wait in that chair. If there's time, we'll let you try." Hours passed. Contestants came and went. Judges laughed, cried, clapped, and rolled their eyes. Backstage, Mikhail watched them all, dancers in perfect sync, singers with shining microphones, acrobats who soared through the air. He didn't have an act. He had only a song. A song that lived inside him like a heartbeat. Finally, as the day drew to a close and the judges prepared to leave, one of the assistants called out, "We have one more." A walk-in. The producers hesitated. "We're running late." But the head judge, an older woman with sharp eyes softened by years of music, nodded. "Let him try. One song. That's all." Mikhail stepped onto the stage. The lights felt like suns. The judges looked at him, surprised. One leaned forward and asked, "Name?" "Mikhail." "What will you be singing?" He looked down, then up. "Hotel Moscow." The title sparked curiosity. It was an old, iconic song. A ballad of love, war, and loss. A song no one dared to sing without mastery, and certainly not a boy his age. The judges exchanged glances. One sighed, expecting disappointment. Another folded their arms. But then the music began. The moment Mikhail opened his mouth, the air changed. His voice wasn't loud. It wasn't polished. But it was raw, haunting, and pure. The first notes poured out like winter wind, sharp, cold, but beautiful. His tone carried the ache of 1,000 winters, the longing of every orphan, the memory of every mother who ever sang her child to sleep. He didn't just sing the song, he lived it. As the verses unfolded, the theater fell silent. No shifting chairs. No whispered comments. Just stillness. His voice soared and cracked in all the right places, his tiny frame trembling under the weight of emotion. You could feel his pain, his love, his loss, every syllable was carved out of his soul. One judge reached for a tissue. Another swallowed hard, visibly holding back tears. When he reached the final note, the crescendo burst forth like a cry from the mountains, echoing across the auditorium and straight into the hearts of everyone present. Then, silence. A silence so deep it felt like the whole world was holding its breath. And then, applause. Thunderous. Immediate. Everyone rose to their feet. Judges. Crew. Audience members who had stayed behind. Tears streamed down cheeks, strangers hugged, and even the coldest hearts cracked open. The judge who had sighed before was now wiping his face, unable to speak. The head judge stood slowly, eyes glistening. Then, without a word, she reached over and smashed the golden buzzer. The gold confetti exploded from above. It fell like snow, like the snow that had followed Mikhail all his life, but this time, it felt like victory. He stood there, frozen, as golden lights danced around him. For a moment, the poor boy from nowhere became the voice of an entire nation. And backstage, staff scrambled to find a coat, a guardian, anyone who could claim him. But no one came. Only the judges walked out to greet him. The head judge knelt down, placed her hand on his shoulder, and whispered, "You've just changed our lives." Mikhail looked up, overwhelmed. He didn't cry. He just smiled. Because for the first time in his life, someone had heard him.